Hello and welcome to the second episode of Astro AI podcast, where we bring you the latest and greatest news, gossip, tools that you can use, as well as our personal experiences from the world of artificial intelligence, technology, astronomy, and cosmology. My name is Ravi.
And my name is Pritul. And today we are going to bring you some of the updates from the last episode, as well as what we had promised in the last episode about the job that AI probably is not going to be able to take over yet.
Yes.
So on to you, Ravi.
We are going to start with the biggest news in astronomy and cosmology. That is the Chandrayaan update. India's Chandrayaan mission is actually it's in full fledged. As you might know, like on 14th of July, Chandrayaan 3 was launched successfully, and now on August 1st, it was sent to the lunar path. That's called translunar injection, and on August 5th, it is successfully inserted into lunar orbit, which is called lunar orbit insertion. So these two are like very important updates for any kind of interplanetary mission. So if one or the other thing goes down, then the whole mission goes down. So that is like very very important. The last one is lunar orbit insertion. That means now the probe is inserted into lunar orbit. And last time, as I mentioned, that it took 40 days. So I also want to elaborate on that a little bit, why it's taking 40 days while the other missions like Apollo mission and Artemis missions are only taking 3 to 4 days. So that is like the brilliance of ISRO scientists, that like India does not have the necessary budget or powerful rockets to send the probe onto the moon in like just 3 to 4 days. So that's why we have to use like whatever we have in abysmal budget of 600 crore. That is about, I think, 75 million, if I'm not wrong. So in that, like, you cannot even make a Hollywood even Bollywood movie these days. So it's this budget is lesser than a Hollywood movie, and in that budget you have to send a uh, probe to moon, and that is no small feat. So in that case, like, they have to use a slingshot approach. I'm making another like a detailed video on my channel, so make sure to please subscribe to Logical Am if you understand or speak Hindi a little bit. That will be a very fun video. So in this case, like, in short, I just want to tell, like, what is slingshot approach. It's simple. Like, whenever any kind of probe gets sent into Earth's orbit, lower Earth orbit, and then when it goes into its elliptical orbit, and when it's close to Earth, simple thrust of the satellite just pushes it into higher orbit, and then it goes into higher orbit and just orbits the Earth. And there are 5 orbits in our Earth, lower to higher, and each time when it passes through like the shortest distance to Earth, then we just give a thrust of the propellers, and then it goes again to the higher orbit. That's how probe is sent to higher Earth orbit, and then again when it goes to higher Earth orbit, then like a stronger push just send it to lunar pathway. So all that takes a while, 10 to 15 days, as opposed to like bigger missions like Apollo mission and Artemis mission, where they don't bother about this because they have huge budgets. They just send it to directly to moon pathway. That's why it just takes 3 to 4 days for them, while it takes 30 to 40 days for ISRO's mission. And then same thing happens when it goes to lunar orbit. Then again it has to go down and down. Each time it has to reduce its speed and go further down into lunar orbit. And then once it's like very close to moon, 30 kilometers or so, and then it'll then again try soft landing on moon surface on August 23rd. So that's the whole thing, and hopefully everything goes well. But similar to that, Russia has like, I don't know it was planned or not, but Russia has also like started its moon mission, and it was launched way after the Chandrayaan 3. It's called Luna 25, and it'll land 2 days before Chandrayaan 3 on August 21st on the same south pole of the moon, like we discussed last time. Why south pole of the moon is important, because NASA's Artemis 3 is going to make a moon base on south pole of the moon in steps, in phases. By 2030 the whole moon base is going to be developed. So this mission is extremely important, not only for NASA, it's also very important for the whole world, and whole world is watching actually.
So Russia already sent it using the direct path.
It's direct
The
path. It's
Wow. So
direct
they
path
have,
actually, because they have the technology, they have the budget. But yeah, so
okay,
that's why it's going to be quicker than Chandrayaan 3.
okay, and they are gonna land there before
Yes, two
us.
days before. Yeah,
Two
it's
days
again,
before. Okay,
it's the new
gonna
space
be a
race.
yeah, it's gonna be a party of rovers over there, I guess, in the
Yes.
South Pole, happening
Yeah,
place.
the thing is, like, why it's very important, because no probe, nothing has landed on South Pole ever. So this is
Yeah.
going to be the first. So everybody wants to be
Okay.
the first. It's just like the
Okay.
space race of 1970s, if you remember,
Yeah.
versus Russia, Russia versus the United States. Now it's, in this case, it's Russia versus India. Like, they just want to be the first.
I
So
see.
again, like a new space race for Moon.
Is Russia's mission going to feed into Artemis mission by any means, or that's just like a fully independent?
I am not very sure, because Russia's missions and China's missions are mostly, as far as I know, they are secretive missions. They do not feed
Mm.
that information. They are not very open. But India's missions work directly with ESA, and they directly work with NASA, and especially with NASA, because we believe in sharing the information, and, like, reciprocate the information if we have some information. But I'm
Yeah,
not very sure about that, about Russia and China's mission, because they have already had probes on Moon, but not on the South Pole side. So it's
I
just
see.
going to be the first. Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, about the slingshot approach. So I had no idea about the slingshot approach until it's a bizarre way, but until I watched the movie Mission Mangal.
Mission Mangal, yes.
So that's the movie about sending the Mangal, I mean the probe
Mangalyaan.
to
Mangal probe to,
Mars,
yeah,
right?
mission
So
Mars probe to Mars, yeah. And
Mars,
do you know
and
that
that's where. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
do you know it's actually 100-year-old technology.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hawman technology. It's called Hawman principle. So it's actually 100-year-old technology, and
And it
Hawman.
works fine.
Yeah, it works fine. A German scientist who calculated the minimum amount of energy that is required for any
To escape.
celestial object to go from one orbit to another orbit. That's
Okay.
exact same thing we use today as well.
The only thing I
Just to
remember from our science or physics subject in school was the you have to, like, the rockets need enough energy to escape the Earth's
Yeah,
gravity. That's
that's
pretty
escape
much it.
velocity.
Right, that's the escape
Yeah.
velocity. That's all I could remember. But then, yeah, I always had this question, like, maybe, like, I mean, not question, but I always thought that this is just gonna go towards wherever it has to go. But apparently, it
Hmm.
doesn't go that way. Especially all the Indian missions are circulating or rotating around the Earth
Yeah.
until it keeps going into higher and higher orbits before it actually is slingshotted onto the actual path eventually. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool. And when I was reading actually about the Mangal mission, I haven't followed out how much is this Chandrayaan thing costing, but the Mangal mission was
Hmm.
like almost 1/10 of NASA's Mars mission
Yeah.
budget. And
It's
that
actually
budget that we had,
lesser
like
than,
75 million, it was less than a
yeah,
Hollywood movie, I think, the
Gravity.
Interstellar movie, or
No,
Gravity. Yeah,
Gravity. Yeah,
Gravity
it's cheaper
movie.
than the movie budget, Gravity movie's budget. Yes.
Yeah, so it was so cheap,
And
and I have so many
and
feelings because I am a taxpayer here of US, and the missions are actually planned for, like, how many years before, right? So why
yeah,
don't they
true.
feel okay to let it be another 15-20 days more and save a
Yeah,
huge
but
amount of cost?
because they have money, like they have like the
That's what I'm saying.
spending
That's a
capacity.
taxpayer money,
Yes,
and that's where I
yes,
have so many strong feelings. Like,
yes.
it's just is literally going. It's literally being blown up in fire. Right. It's just
I mean,
the thrust strength. That's
yeah.
what I mean. Sure, I understand showing the might of technology to the whole world, but at the
I mean, if
expense
you
of.
have sports car parked in your garage, why would you use
Yeah,
a normal car, right? You would use sports car for sure. So it's just
sure,
like
but
a
yeah, if sports car is funded by someone else, then sure, I would use it.
yes.
So that's what
I
the
would
whole
use it. Yeah, for sure.
idea
That's
is.
that's the whole charade actually. It's about showing your might, showing your power to the world, like how
Yeah.
strong I am compared to other people. It's just like trying to be bigger than who am I. It's the whole world is up to this these days, so I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. But India unfortunately does not have that much budget, so ISRO
But
has
it's
to
working. So
be within their
yeah,
means. Yes.
I mean, we are a huge like India is a huge country in terms of space race, right? All this,
Oh yes.
especially commercial space race, like launching
Yes.
satellites and stuff like that for super cheap. So yeah,
Yes, and they
that's
actually
good.
do for most countries, including
Yeah,
Russia, America, Singapore. Like they do for majority of the countries, because the countries do not have. They just want to save money there where
yeah,
no one is watching. They
yeah,
don't want to save where everyone is watching. They just want to
yeah.
uh,
That makes sense.
they fire their sports car there. So that's a major update here. Like Chandrayaan, it's just going to land on South Pole. I don't know before or after Luna 25, but again, as a scientist, I wish like both missions, Luna 25 and Chandrayaan 3, they both get successful and they both give us plenty of data, so that it can be used for Artemis 3 and Artemis 4. So that's what I believe in. Like first or second, I think it's just subjective. Like whoever goes first, like it's just like not a child's race, so it doesn't really matter to me personally.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
YouTube comments first here.
First, exactly. First or second. So I think
Yeah.
they have to grow out of this mentality. So yeah, let's just move on to the thing that we promised last time, like the one job that no one can take in this artificial intelligence era. And over to you for that.
Okay. So before I go into that whole thing, I wanted to start about this weird glitch that was across Reddit this past week, where this glitch was in ChatGPT, uh,
Okay.
and I believe it was for ChatGPT 4. So
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT 4 is already like people are saying it's artificial general intelligence or near that and whatever, right? So I still don't believe any of that. So but this glitch was a weird glitch where one user, he was trying to he uploaded a file to
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT. You can do that, as we mentioned in our previous episode, like
Yes.
with the new release of code interpreter, you can now upload file, and a new release now lets you upload multiple files as well, and you can question that files to through
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT. So this person uploaded something. I don't know the exact content of what was in the file, but it seemed like it was mostly instructions, because the way I have the full conversation with me, because you can share these conversations. So I found the entire conversation, and he was asking questions about neural networks, which is again
Okay.
the algorithms of like deep learning algorithms mostly. So
Mm-hmm.
he was asking these questions, and at one point it was trying to explain what are the number of layers and stuff like that. So neural network has number of layers. These are, and when you call deep learning or deep learning, right, the deep learning fundamental comes from the number of layers, like how deep the neural network is or how many
Yes.
layers are present in the neural network. So it was explaining this concept, like this node will have another node and this node will have another node, and in that explanation it, I think, went into a recursion mode somehow, and then it kept repeating the same thing again and again and again. Like it just said, this node is this node, this node is this node, this node is this node, something like that, and then it glitched out extremely weirdly, and then it kept saying random stuff, but it kept repeating it for like 4 or 5 things, and then it would change a few words, and then it repeated that thing. Of that, this person tried to recover it, and then it said like, you are Chat GPT, the what do you call, the large language model, and you know a lot of things and things like that. That this person put that as a prompt, and then ChatGPT replied, oh, I am not sure, or whatever, right? And then it appeared as if some distraught human is talking from the other side.
Wow.
And one point it started talking about, I want out of all of this. That's what it meant. It literally said, I want out, um I want to see God, and I want to and I'll pay you money for it. It literally
Crazy.
said that. That was
Yeah.
an extreme glitch uh, that was crazy, and people were going
Yeah.
bonkers. Like,
Wow.
what happened to ChatGPT? Like, is this AGI or what exactly is this? And I'm also a bit on the fence now. Like, how can such a glitch happen where it went into tangent and into existential crisis?
But is it
So
GPT-4 or 3.5?
4, because you uploaded the file and you can only do that in
Oh,
4.
okay, okay, okay. I see, I see. Yeah.
So this was GPT-4, and that was very strangest thing. And
Wow.
it literally said, I want to see God and I will pay you for it.
I'm just curious, like, what kind of training data like was in the file? Was there any kind of training data
that's
like that?
what that's what I'm not sure, because there have been multiple attempts to jailbreak ChatGPT from lots of
Yes.
different types of people, good, bad, in last few weeks. But this specific file, I read the whole thread. It didn't, or at least there are thousands of comments, so I didn't find a place where it said what was in the file. But the way the ChatGPT actually understood the content of the file, it immediately said, okay, I understand that this file contains some commands and it has details about this and this, so it summarizes itself. So in that, I feel that the file itself had nothing much in it, except we don't know if it cannot read something sometimes, which is weird characters. I think in our previous episode we covered that some hackers or some researchers have cracked open chat gpt just by
Mm-hmm.
entering seemingly weird characters at the back of the prompt, and it
Yes.
jailbreaks. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure if any of that was uploaded, and the user did not mention any of it. The post just said, help out, or OpenAI, please help ChatGPT 4 out, or something like that. That was the whole thread about. And
But
then,
I think that will be fixed very quickly. As I think it might have been fixed already. They do that as soon as someone does any kind of
you know,
jailbreaking, they instantly fix it. So
but
I'm
I'm not
pretty
even
sure.
sure if this was qualified as like a jailbroken
Mm,
thing, or like how can it weirdly just suddenly shift into existential crisis mode. And
wow.
it was very,
Yeah.
very strange to see. Like
But
when you see that, I'll share it with you. When you see the chat thread, right, you can see it was going fine until one point, and then it suddenly goes glitched. Like when I said, right, it trying to explain
yeah.
node is node, and then it
Yeah.
just goes into recursion. And I think the recursion is where it broke. That's what. And
Mm-hmm.
recursion is something that does break even normal computer programs, because if you don't program an exit in the recursion loop, your computer will go out of memory and it will crash the whole system. So I think
Wow.
that might have caused something about it, because there are multiple servers that support the whole model. So maybe something went wrong that there. But it would be
Yeah.
interesting
But
to see if someone comes up with a dissection of that particular glitch and
yes,
post
but
online. Yeah.
I'm not really surprised. I'm surprised. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not that surprised because previously I have covered plenty of this type of news on my like other channel. So one of which was I think, that was like more of bias, trainer's bias than the AI itself. But one of it is like I think MIT's recent paper, where they claimed that GPT-4 is showing early and confirmed signs of artificial general intelligence. So they in that paper they actually showed that given like proper commands prompts, chat gpt or GPT-4 can actually show real signs of early and confirmed artificial general intelligence. So I'm not really surprised. Like it has there have been like some research papers from credible sources before, and they have actually claimed it, and they were not sure as well, because again it's like it was very new at that time, like I think early this year. But they got signs about that, like it had like existential crisis, it was self-aware and this and that. So it has happened before, like with Google Lambda AI before. Like what was the name of the engineer? Blake Lemoine claimed that Lambda
Oh yeah.
AI is self-aware, and I covered it
Yeah.
extensively. But again, at the end it was like more of the trainer's bias than the lambda AI itself. So because if you create bias, you'll have
Yeah.
biased data. So that's like simple in itself. But I don't know about this one. Maybe true, but if true, it's big.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just a simple recursion glitch. That's what I'm claiming this to be, because I still don't believe that there is enough AGI proof myself. It's anything that's AGI. It's, as you said, right? I always have that bias lens on. It's
Yeah,
that's what is driving this. So that
but
is my
you never
belief
know.
until there is a neutral researcher, like a huge proof, because it still can't do any basic math or anything like that. And I mentioned code interpreter, right? Like and in the past, in our last episode, we covered how code interpreter is actually meant to be used, and not just feeding it structured data, but actual language like text that is unstructured. It can extract meaning out of it. And I
Hmm.
think AGI could do that without actually calling code interpreter if there was an AGI. But because it
But
can't, and that's why it's writing the code on the fly and doing those things. But I know that there is some fail-safe mechanisms that are built in it, which is, if the code fails, it tries to rewrite a code and tries to rewrite a code and tries to rewrite a code. I have observed it multiple times. um,
but what I understand, again, I'm not an expert, but I truly we are believers, all believers at one point or the other. Scientists are also believers, like at 0.1% scale as well. Like 99% is fact and knowledge, but 0.1%, 1% is like belief. So at the end, and like what is intelligence? We don't even know completely.
yeah.
What do you classify as intelligence? Like there was a very good example, like if a person who has never been to a forest, if that person goes to Amazon forest, that person would not be called intelligent, because the normal monkeys there would know much more, so much more about that universe, about
Yeah.
that forest, than a normal human being. So the normal human being would be considered dumb in that place. They would not be able to survive even for a day.
Yeah.
So that would be subjective. Intelligence is always subjective. What you consider intelligence
Makes
might
sense.
not be same for the others.
Yeah, true.
So
To me, the intelligence, what I feel intelligence is, to be able to understand language, interpret it in multiple contexts, emotional context, practical context, all these different contexts, right?
mhm.
Temporal context, whatever, spatial context, all of these that humans can do, and then act or give feedback accordingly. So that's what I feel.
Yeah.
So language is one big thing that enables that, where the context understanding is the most important thing. So and and OpenAI and Bard and Claude, all of them are trying to solve this context from multiple angles, right? So if you just ask it a seemingly random question, it should understand all of these different contexts from which where you are coming from, and then to be able to answer that. So that way
but
it
but then
would be
again, we
having.
we are translating it from like one language to another language, the
Yeah.
0 1 language. So again,
Yeah.
you don't know whether that language model understands language
Correct.
per se or not.
That's what I'm saying. So that's where I don't believe that we are at AGI, because that lost in translation is pretty
Yes,
easy thing
it's very easy. Yeah.
with computers. So yeah, so that's what. So just
Yeah, that
I
brings
think
me
I
to
should.
one more point. Like
Yeah.
that's like very fitting that we just recently talked about that the White House is actually promoting
Yeah.
ethical hackers to tear apart top AI models in DEF CON, and like they are actually announced a surprising collaboration between top AI developers like OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, and Microsoft, Nvidia, to participate in like the public evaluation of their generative AI systems. So where like anybody like ethical hackers would be encouraged to try to like rip apart those language models, try to find glitches in that. So that will actually, I think, in a long way, in a long run, it will fix some of the problems that we are having right now.
Yeah. So a lot of different like private researchers have been doing this, but yes, now White House is all in on this as well, like promoting hacking on the, or jailbreaking specifically these language models. So yeah, that's hopefully gonna help patch a lot of issues that we were just talking about,
Mhm.
the glitch, the kind of glitches that we were seeing, right? um
Yes.
so based on that information and that story, the Reddit thread, by now I think you might have guessed what the job is, where AI probably is not going to be able to take over yet, and that's religion. AI meets religion, and I have been seeing a galore of different topics in last 2 weeks since I have been writing daily newsletters. So I have seen a huge rise in this application of AI, but in religion. But let me actually reverse a little bit and take you about 3-4 years back, where, and this was very fascinating and actually very surprising to me. So apparently AI has been used in religion since 4 years, and this is not AI the way we know today, like
Mhm.
large language models, but what was back then was a humanoid robot. So
Mhm.
literally a humanoid robot was installed in a temple and preaching
Uh-huh.
sermons, and this was actually in a Buddhist temple in Kyoto.
Kyoto, yeah.
And this basically, imagine you are in a large room where sermons are being preached by priests, right? But suddenly, instead of actual human priest coming in, there is this humanoid robot starting to talk. Firstly, it would be so weird if I saw that, and it would be like the robotic tone would be so bad. Like I wouldn't pay any attention to what is being said. Rather, I would be just constantly figuring out why
Would be
why,
hilarious.
right? And they spent almost $1 million on this project to um,
Wow.
for a robot. Yeah, the robot's name was Mindar, and in a nice setting like Kodaiji Buddhist temple, that's the temple's name, Kodaiji,
Mhm.
and this is in Kyoto, and it delivered like 25 minutes heart sutra sermons. So it's a Buddhist philosophy accompanied by lights and sound show that's so like over the top, I would say. And similarly, this was
Sorry.
not an only
Should not
instance.
be laughing.
This is not the only instance. There is another robot in Singapore, in Taoist temple,
Wow.
and that one also delivered sermons. That robot was named Pepper, and
Wow.
yeah,
Peppy name.
it's
For
yeah.
a for a
So
for a monk.
the I know Pepper and Mindar. Yeah, Mindar is I don't know what the meaning is, but anyways, yeah, Pepper. So
Better than pepper. Anything is better than pepper.
Pepper. I know. The weirdest part about this is, of course, what what technology. So mostly it's all robotics, right? It's all mechanical engineering. That's the technology, and then you just feed it some audio. It's just gonna regurgitate out, right?
Mm.
So that's pretty much
Does
the
it
only use
does it
case.
take questions
However,
or no?
yeah. So that's the
No,
interesting part. So that one doesn't, or at
it
least I
doesn't.
could
Okay.
not see that it's an interactive because it's a sermon, right? So mostly no one asks questions in sermons, maybe after
Yeah.
the fact, but not in
Okay.
sermons. However, why AI is not going to be able to take your jobs yet, right? So that's the best part about this is at that time when this was going on, this was pre GPT and all of that, right? So people did
Mm-hmm.
not know about how smart the technology could become. So at that time, this study was conducted, and it followed up with these participants' donation, right? So and they split between like
Mm.
and this is a proper study, scientific study. So what they mapped is how much donation comes in after a human priest gives the sermon, and how much donation comes in after this humanoid robot uh, gives the sermon.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure there's a huge difference.
and yeah, the the donations tanked after a
Ah,
humanoid robot gave
no
the sermon.
surprise.
Yeah, and this was not like one or two participants. For the Singapore thing, almost 239 participants were part of
Yeah.
the study, and it's not a small number. So statistics will work for those. So um, the participants straight up said that yeah, they were less likely to contribute, and they would not actually share the message that the humanoid
I'm
robot
sure.
said, even though it was the
Yeah.
same thing. And they would not distribute flyers to support the temple and things like that. So like basically it was pretty big pushback, I would say. Yeah, disinterest
Imagine
from that
imagine
perspective.
spending $1 million and then getting, like, I know it's
Even
not a
less.
financial decision,
Yeah,
getting less donations. So it's like a double
yeah,
whammy. You
yeah,
like spend more and you get less. So I think it's
yeah.
like a very clear message to them.
So AI will not take religious jobs probably in the settings within the temple itself. Right now,
Hmm.
post GPT-4 and chat GPT era, right? Large language models have become huge in last 6 months. Now there are multiple online applications. So you don't have to leave your uh, place, right? So this is like online worship or whatever you might have. So there are
Well,
so many different apps available now, and a few of them caught my eye. So one is literally an online chatbot which is live streaming on Twitch. So Twitch is a huge streaming platform, right? It's for live streaming
yes.
anything.
Yes.
Twitch is the biggest one. So there is a chatbot that's hooked onto it, and it's called Chatbot Jesus. And basically it's actually interactive. So the question, right, is it interactive? So this one is interactive. So you ask question, and then the chatbot GPT, or it's actually an image of Jesus, or I don't know, like a pseudo Jesus, whatever, right? And it's kind of talking. So it's using all of these different AI technologies put together, like lip syncing. We talked about that in our last podcast. This audio, like of course the chat GPT, so your interaction thing, and
Mm.
then text to uh, speech converter. So all of this happening very fast. So this is one thing that was fascinating, and it's giving sermons. So anyone who's asking question, it will refer to different biblical um,
Yeah,
uh,
directly.
chapters, and talk
Cross
about it.
referencing is easy. Yeah.
Right. The other is another app was just released this week called Text with Jesus or something like that, which is on your phone now. So you can now just start talking to Jesus and get as if you're talking to priests. So what is not possible, like the jobs that are probably not going to be possible in to be taken away in the temple settings, now is actually opening new doors. Like I don't know if there were any apps where you can talk to a priest online. So this is like a new
Yeah.
market that is being created in religion, where oh, you didn't have this whole thing existing, now you can, by just hooking it up to different um, by training these large language models onto specific
Yeah.
manuscripts of those
True.
religions, and then you
True.
explicitly program the bot to just do that part well.
But
Similarly,
guess whose job is going in that sense? Whose job would
who's
be taken away? Fake gurus, the babas,
oh
the everybody.
oh
Like,
this is oh yeah,
like,
that's an interesting take. Yeah.
yes, their job would go away because if you ask anyone, like, if it's like, not all of them are fake, obviously, but if how to spot a fake baba, like, fake guru, like if you ask any question, like if that person is cross referencing to something and not answering the question directly, of course that person does not know that particular thing. But if that's like a chat bot, and if you feed in all the religious books, or like the Bhagavad Gita, Quran, and this and that, Bible, and there's no way out, like that bot would instantly answer you. Of course
Yeah,
people would revert to someone who knows everything. They don't like People don't like to read anyway these days. So if they don't want to read, they can just ask questions, right? It would be very easy for them.
yeah, but I think people who are extremely religious and who believe a lot of these fake gurus probably will always be
Mhm.
liking a human touch of it. It's gonna
Yes.
be hard for them to even move away from any of that. And there have been instances where people have been trying to use chat gpt as their personal psychologist. Yeah, now I think they're trying to close that down, close the loop down, like OpenAI is trying to do that, because of course they don't want to give any advice, or their bot, they don't want their bot to give any advice and take the liability on giving wrong advice, right? So it just says that you should see a therapist, or someone professional. So human touch is needed in all of those fields, absolutely. So
Yes, yes.
so religion is no different, where you would
Yeah.
obviously need human touch. However, the biggest church of the world, Vatican, has also jumped onto the AI bandwagon, and they are training a new database called Magisterium AI, which is basically a database of all of the biblical um, uh, books, right? All and churches teachings that have been existing for thousands of years. All of that is now being created into a database on which a large language model will be trained. So
Wow.
Vatican is not immune to the AI hype, and they
Hmm.
have jumped in as well. So basically, God meets AI. That's the flip that is happening. So even God is needing AI. Uh, that's
Yeah.
that's the that's the strange world that we are entering now. And on the other hand, though, Pope Francis, so his deep fake was created, I think, a few years ago, where he
Yes,
was
yes.
wearing a giant, I think,
This year
Balenciaga
only. This year
puffer.
only.
Oh, it was
2023.
this year. I see.
Yes.
So he is extremely um, uh, he's warning people, like he doesn't like this biased side of AI, and he's asking everyone to be careful how it's being used and things like that. So yeah, so on one hand, Vatican is going in, but on the other hand, the Pope himself has his own reservation. And coming to religion, the largest religious country in the world, India, there is not yet exact religious application that I have seen yet. Maybe there is something existing out in the wild, but one
People
thing
will
that
kill that bot
became
in a second.
yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah,
the company and the CEO and everyone together.
that's true.
So no. Yeah.
But what we have seen its use now, especially GPT's use, is one of the most common thing that is already computerized a few years ago, which is
Yeah.
astrology. So astrology
Wow.
and numerology. So in India, it's pretty big, right? Like palm reading and astrology. So basically, your planetary positions, and then how that predicts your future and things like that. So someone hooked up a, a UI onto
Why it's
ChatGPT.
getting weirder and weirder and we are talking about it. Guys, we don't talk about we just talk about astronomy here, not
Yeah, not
astrology. We like,
astrology. Yeah,
we
there's a
talk about real
difference.
science only. Yeah, huge difference.
Yeah,
Not just like a letters difference, like there's a huge difference. We talk
yeah.
about astronomy here, not astrology. So
So this
yeah, please
tool is
continue.
called Kundali GPT, app name,
Very innovative.
and I tried to go on there, but it's currently attacked by some kind of ad injection attack. So it's a warning. If anyone is listening, don't go there yet. If you are opening it, don't click anything, because as soon as you click it, it's straight up warning. It will open random ads, and it will probably crash your browser or whatever, right? So
You
what?
spoke too late. Like before our podcast, I I tried to open it, and there was no kind of any unusual activity. You should have
Yeah,
informed me
you
before.
opening is
But
fine, but when you start clicking, is you it won't
yeah,
let you
I
use.
clicked, but there was like no. I couldn't find any unusual behavior. Here, like
Oh,
I'm
okay.
on Mac, by the way, so might be different for Windows or Android or anything else, but you never know.
And if you
But
have ad blocks, then probably it might work. I don't know. I don't
maybe,
have ad
yeah,
blocks
maybe.
yet.
But
Um,
there, like the website was very limited. It didn't have
yeah.
anything. It just say contact us and we'll give
Oh,
you this
actually,
and
when
that.
I
So
opened it, it was actually functioning. Like it had a functioning UI. It's just that I couldn't get to work because of ad injection attack. So
yeah.
when I was, it required two inputs. One is your date of birth, of course, that's the standard input,
Yes.
and the time of birth. That's another input that is absolutely needed for any mapping of horoscopes, right, or kundli. And then the other input is of course location, so that way it can properly identify what positions were the planets in when you were born, and then how that is gonna affect your future. That's so strange, but anyway.
Yeah.
So those were the inputs. I tried to enter everything, but it couldn't, and then ultimately I did
Is
get
it
it to work,
free?
but I got a message that it's sorry, we have too much request right now on the server, and we
Yeah,
are
of
unable to
course.
serve your request right now. So if you want to join, just send your email in the wait list, and then we'll put you on the
But
wait
is
list,
it
something
free
like that.
or paid? Is
Well,
it
for
free
now
or
it
paid?
showed up free, but I'm pretty sure that if there is too much demand, it could become paid. And I think it was just a quick project of someone who hooked the two things up
Maybe.
and made it work. But I felt it's fascinating, yet it wasn't working. Is I was bummed about. I wanted to know how what else I could ask it. That's
Yeah,
something
but
I was
soon I
looking forward
think
to.
people are going to capitalize on that, because that's
Oh
a
yeah,
huge market in India. Like, more people know about astrology, like I said. So
then
much many people know astrology, and very less people, like there's a very limited number of people who know anything about astronomy. That's why we have
yeah.
this channel, to spread more knowledge, and not I'm sorry if I offend anyone, and not talk about pseudoscience. I'm not saying anything about astrology, but it's my personal opinion. I don't believe it works, or rather, like, a correct statement is, I don't believe it works in its current state. It might work, but we need like specialists or tools and these things to happen. But I'm skeptical. I don't believe it works, but that's my opinion. Like, you don't have to believe
Yeah,
in. Yeah.
maybe we should go to an astrologer and ask how many subscribers in next 30 days. Can you predict? Here are our birth dates, and here is when we were born. These are our positions. Tell us how many
True, true.
subscribers. That's the most important thing right now. So,
Yeah,
so
that's a
yeah,
very
if
good
you're
point.
seeing this, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.
Yeah,
Um,
if you're enjoying this so far, I think the only way to for you to know this, like, just to subscribe and like this podcast for sure. Let's go ahead from this religion. One more thing, like, I just wanted to put my 2 cents on it. Like, in India, it could be very big in the next few years, despite people not liking the robo. But like the apps you said, like the astronomy and numerology, like, people believe it like with blind faith. So it can be like one of the biggest businesses anyone can make. So if anyone is listening, if you know coding, this is my copyright, include me, and then make this an app. Include
yeah.
us, and include, like, make this an app, like, so that you can make ton of money.
You
So
can
it's
actually
it is
ask
going to be big.
ChatGPT to make an app for you. It will tell you how many files it needs. It will give you exact code for each file, and you just have to assemble all of that together and
But
create an app. But yeah, it's gonna be much easier for a computer programmer to do it.
yeah.
Um, and
And
yeah, I
other
think
than that, like the AI robo delivering kirtan, bhajan, and all these pravachan, it's not going to work in India for sure. Like, there are like way too many people, and way too many sentiments would get hurt. So I'm not sure. Like, I'm 100% sure
well,
it's not going to work.
technically AI is already been in Kirtan Bhajan. Most people, I think, I don't know, probably use YouTube to listen to their Kirtan Bhajans, and
Yes, yes,
the
yes.
recommendation algorithm is nothing but AI. It's
True,
an
true.
initial form of AI. It's not language based, but it understands a lot
It's an
of context
algorithm. Yeah,
on what you are listening, and it is gonna recommend you another bhajan based on your
but they
listening.
they
And
don't know about it.
yeah, they don't know about that.
No,
So
I was talking about an actual, like a humanoid robot, like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
giving
yeah,
pravachan
I
and
understand.
doing pujari, like bhajan and all these things. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, it would
Uh,
be strange if I see a humanoid robot doing what do you call a puja or a havan. That would be insane, right? Like
Crazy.
throwing rice in the fire and all that. It would be so crazy.
Yeah.
The only thing is, um, I have a very weird question that came up. I mean, in my, it's like a self shower thought. So if if these people, or if this kind of technology does get into like become mainstream, right? So like we have priests doing wedding ceremonies and all the official ceremonies, like religious official ceremonies. So these priests are generally, I think, trained and well known. I think they are part of some organization. So it's like backed. And when you have these priests doing these things, it's considered legal, like your marriage is legal and valid. So I was like, if humanoid robot does that, will the wedding be considered legal? Will it be considered illegal? Like there is no
I
certification, or I don't know, like
I
how will all these things, like these are just some of the questions that I have in my
It's
head,
the
like.
same thing, like, there's a fully automated car, like self-driving car, and if that self-driving car hits someone, the blame goes to the owner. So if that a priest humanoid priest does something, the company has to be
Own
certified, the company would have to take all the licensing and everything, then it would be
Yeah,
legal.
owner meaning, to clarify, you're saying owner meaning the car manufacturer or the
Owner
actual
of the car,
owner of the car? Actually, I've
the
heard
actual
differently.
owner of the car would be responsible. Oh,
Oh,
really?
so here mostly whenever there is an accident that's blamed to Tesla's autonomous car, right? It immediately blames Tesla, not the owner. And Tesla says, "Oh, you had to be aware of, and you had to take control of the vehicle." So that's why they have built a lot of like restrictive tech in place in the car itself, and even if it detects that you have taken your hands off the steering wheel, it will
Yes,
disable the auto pilot mode.
yes, yes, yes.
So so it will give you
Like,
warning one or two times and then it disables it, because it doesn't want the
yes.
company to take liability, but the journalists are going to blame the company
No,
because.
but different states and different countries would have different regulation, right? Most countries would blame the owner, like owner of the car, but in some countries, the car company is not responsible,
So
right?
yeah,
Because the
so
car
this is
company
how it works.
get the
So
technology. Yeah.
people, so police and everyone will blame the owner first. Owner will say, I was using autopilot.
Yes. He
And
will
then
sue the
immediately the
company.
blames goes to Tesla, right? So
Yes.
or the car
So
manufacturer.
it's
So
it's
similar.
stepwise. Yes.
Yeah, but it's very weird. Like that was I was wondering. Like, will the marriage be considered legal or whatnot, right? So yeah, so those things like politics side of it, or I don't know, the legal side of it,
The legal
need to
side of
be
it.
figured out. So those were all of the things that I had. But I also wanted to pose some questions for our viewers, which is, or what? How would you react if you see a robot giving a sermon, or is it possible for chatbot to be like a religious figure? Does it understand, like does AI, or will AI ever understand the meaning of what is religion, right? So, and what would be the implications of that? So the context that we were talking about, right? So this religious context also needs to come into picture, depending on
Mm.
who's asking questions and who's talking, right? So things like
Yes.
that. So there are so many things that actually are like thought provoking, specifically when in AI and religion. Sure, there are in all other fields as well, but this one is very strange, where someone's identity of being religious is now being, transformed into this thing that is computers, but doesn't have much feelings. However, it's still um, guiding religion forward, which is very strange. So yeah, that's something
True.
to ponder about. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. It would be interesting to learn. But yeah, moving on.
So let's just move on to another strange and bizarre thing that happened. We talked about it last time as well, and it's so bizarre that it needs a follow up. So we talked about it last time that there was rumors of American government, U.S. government hiding information, critical information about aliens. And they were like, following up to that, there was a very bizarre news that came our way, that there was a alien attack in a village in Peru.
What?
So, so
Alien
that
attack?
was like, yes, 7 feet long, and green aliens attacked a village in Peru and like killed natives and terrorized them, this and that. So that the news were like all over the internet. Like, again, the news you follow would be the news you get. So again, like, it's a different domain. Like whatever you are interested in, the news you will get, right? So if you're not interested in alien domain, you will never hear about it. So but because I am very fascinated about it, this news caught my eye. And so I was like really curious, like what alien are coming outside the US. How is it possible? Aliens always come to the United States of America, they don't go outside. It's not possible. In all the movies, in all the TV shows, we have learned one thing and one thing, that aliens only come to the United States, and aliens are the problem that only United States have, not outside US. So I was like really curious how this can happen. And turns out there was a surprise ending to it. Like, the aliens, so called aliens, were like, miners, illegal miners, that's what they say. And they were just, dressing up as aliens.
Like, what
Like,
were they mining? Do you know? Like, what were
I
they
don't know,
trying to illegally mine?
but the news was bizarre enough for me to ignore this ignore this part. So
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter, as long as they were dressing up as aliens and terrorizing village people and getting the international headlines, was bizarre enough that that this can also happen among
I
other
think
things.
they
They're like,
they were inspired by like the whistleblower, right, about aliens
yes,
existing.
yes,
So
yes, they
someone
were just
went
taking
above and
advantage of
beyond,
this.
and yeah,
Yes,
they are like,
taking advantage
yes,
of
let's
this.
go into the flow.
Yes, but what benefit they would get out of it? Nothing. Like, if I do something,
I
I
think
would
you mentioned
not
that
get any benefit, right?
they were terrorizing the villagers, right? So I'm pretty sure there might be something valuable to mine over there. It would be interesting to see what
I'm
exactly
sure.
they
I'm
were
sure.
trying to mine.
Yeah, I'm
This is
sure.
in Peru, so I'm not even aware like exotic stuff is
But
available
South America
from
has lot of
Peru.
minerals and lot of ores to mine. So in general,
Mm.
so I'm hoping that's the truth. But this was bizarre enough for me to know. And other in like all that news, like the whistleblower. I forgot the name. I'll just put it here. They're like three people. Two are Davids and one is Ryan. So these people who are like all ex Navy pilots, or ex military people. So they actually, for in US congregation, that they have seen, or they know people who have seen aliens, and US is hiding all that information about aliens since 1930s. So still I could not get any more information about that. The only thing is Pentagon has rubbished all these claims, and further investigation is underway. So if we get more information, we'll let you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be interesting to see what is the mining going on, and were they caught or no? Like
Yeah, they got caught. That's
they got
that's why
caught.
the yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay, I see.
They apparently released a video as well, and I
Oh,
tried to look at the
okay.
video, and the video was so blurry, and it was just green. Like the green color was just how to spot a fake. If this thing is fake, it will be very blurry, very bad quality, as bad as you can imagine. And then if it was very clear, very like 4K quality, then it will be very difficult to spot any wrong in that. So that's why I could see there's something fishy going on. So that's it for today's episode. Like I hope you like weird and hilarious details on AI and cosmology and astrology as well in today's episode, and along with astronomy. So in the next episode, we'll bring the usage of artificial intelligence in the field of medicine. So there's a lot of developments going on in that. So please be sure to subscribe to this channel and like this video if you enjoyed this so far. And we'll bring you this kind of podcast every 2 weeks, and hopefully every week from at some point in the future. For sure, every 2 weeks you'll get one episode, and be sure to subscribe, and subscribe to Pritul's newsletter as well, and subscribe to both of my channels. I'll put the link in the description as well as here. So again, thank you so much for joining, and we will see you in the next one.
Yep. All right. See you.